Ever been in one of those cybersecurity conversations and just felt completely lost? Like you needed a secret decoder ring just to keep up? You're definitely not alone. The whole field is, kind of famous for its alphabet soup of acronyms. Well, today, we're going to demystify all that jargon and figure out what it all really means.
So picture this. You're in a meeting, you're trying to follow along, and then someone just casually drops a sentence like this one. It's a classic moment, right? It feels like you've just been hit by a tidal wave of pure, uncut jargon.
And for a second, yeah, your soul might just leave your body. But here's the secret. None of this is actually that complicated. It's just dense. So today, we're going to pull that sentence apart, piece by piece, and understand the core ideas behind it. I promise, this alphabet soup is about to start making a whole lot of sense. Okay, so where do we even begin? Well, the very first step in securing anything is figuring out who's allowed to be there. This is the whole world of identity and access, and it really just boils down to two simple questions. Who are you? And, okay, now what are you allowed to do? And that brings us to our very first acronym, IAM. The easiest way to think about it? It's the bouncer at a digital nightclub. IAM is the one checking IDs at the door and deciding who gets past the velvet rope and into the VIP lounge. It's the absolute foundation for pretty much everything else. Now, IAM has a whole kit of tools to get the job done. You've got SSO, single sign-on, which is kind of like an all-access wristband for the club. You log in just once to get into a bunch of different places. Then there's MFA, which is that prove you're really you moment, when you have to enter that code from your phone. RBAC makes life easier by giving you permissions based on your job title. And the IDP? That's a system that acts like a digital passport control, vouching for your identity across the board.
Okay, so we've got a handle on who can get in. But what happens next? What about their data? How does it actually travel safely across the wild, chaotic world of the internet? And that leads us right into the highways and storage lockers of the digital world, networking and cloud infrastructure. This is all about how your information gets from point A to point B and where it lives securely once it's there.
Believe it or not, it all starts with DNS. Think of DNS as the internet's phone book. You type in a simple name like google.com, and DNS does the magic of translating it into a numerical address that computers can actually understand. Without it, we'd all be stuck memorizing long strings of numbers. No thank you.
Now for network defense, you need guards. An IDS is like a security camera. It detects something weird and sends an alert. But an IPS is the actual security guard who jumps in to prevent the problem. That little difference between just detecting and actively preventing is absolutely crucial.
And here are a few other key building blocks you'll see all the time. A VPN creates a private, encrypted tunnel to shield your online traffic. TLS, that's the little padlock you see in your browser, making your connection secure. And when we talk about the cloud, S3 is basically a bucket for storing files, and a VPC is like your own private, fenced-off area to build your stuff in. So, we've got our identities managed, our networks are secured, but what about our actual devices? The laptops, the servers, the phones? Who's actually on the ground watching for trouble on them? Well, that's where our guards and investigators come into play. Protecting our devices, or endpoints, has really evolved. We started with old-school antivirus, or AV. Think of it like a guard dog that only barks at threats it already recognizes. Then we got EDR, which is more like a modern investigator, logging all the activity to hunt down suspicious behavior. And the latest step is XDR, which is like a command center that sees everything, pulling data from endpoints, the network, and the cloud for one complete picture. So with all this data flying around from our firewalls and servers and EDR tools, where does it all go? It gets funneled to the SIEM. A SIEM is basically one giant dashboard that pulls in logs from everywhere. Its whole job is to connect the dots between all these different events and flag suspicious patterns for a human analyst to check out.
And the team staring at that SIEM all day? That's the SOC, the Security Operations Center. To keep from going crazy with all the alerts, they use SOAR to automate the simple, repetitive tasks. And when a real incident kicks off, they grab their IR plan. That's the official playbook for exactly what to do when things go wrong.
Okay, so we've built a pretty solid defense, right? We've got bouncers, guards, investigators, but what are they actually defending against? And what are the rules they absolutely have to play by?
This leads us to our final section, the nightmares and the rules. We'll quickly cover the threats defenders face,
the regulations they have to follow, and then, I promise, we are going to bring it all back and finally decode that crazy sentence from the beginning.
So if you want to be a good defender, you have to speak the language of the attackers. A DDoS attack? That's just a digital traffic jam designed to knock a website offline. RCE, remote code execution, that is the ultimate nightmare scenario. It means an attacker can run their own code on your system. And an APT isn't some quick smash and grab. It's a patient, skilled adversary playing the long game, hiding inside your network.
Now, besides fighting off bad guys, a huge chunk of cybersecurity is just about following the rules. Big regulations like GDPR in Europe, HIPAA for healthcare in the US, and PCI DSS for credit cards, they all set really strict security requirements. And honestly, the threat of massive fines is a pretty powerful motivator for companies to take this stuff seriously.
All right, let's look at this thing one more time. We checked the IAM roles in AWS, forwarded the logs to the SIEM, configured MFA for the IDP, and tightened our RBAC policies. Just a few minutes ago, this probably felt like a secret code. But now you've got the key.
Let's just walk through it. Checked the IAM roles. That just means they reviewed the bouncer's rules. Forwarded logs to the SIEM. They sent all the activity records over to their central dashboard. Configured MFA for the IDP. They added that extra proof of identity to their digital passport control. And tightened RBAC policies. They just made the permissions for each job title a bit stricter. See? It's not a secret language. It's just a very specific description of some very logical actions. And really, that's the big takeaway here. All these acronyms, they're not meant to confuse you or to keep you out of the conversation. They're just shortcuts people use for speed and for precision. And once you know what each of the ingredients does, this whole alphabet soup stops being so intimidating and actually starts to make a lot of sense.